Hey everybody, this is Admiral Newkirk here, and I'm going to be bringing you OGSMC versus Mouse Thorzain. Alright, I am shaking, trembling, absolutely just unthinkably excited about this game. These two faced off in a little tournament called the TSL, where apparently Thorzain won or something. And at any rate, Thorzain is one of my favorite players. He's probably the most promising Terran player we have out there, and he's somebody who, because of his unbelievable ability to prepare, should be able to go out there and could conceivably do well in the GSL. He will be going off against arguably the best player in the world, the only two-time GSL winner, and probably the most annoying person in the game outside of Hydra, OGSMC. OGSMC is super confident, super arrogant, and is also super annoyingly good enough to back it all up. He is one of those people who is very candid with how good he thinks he is, and the only problem is that's almost true. How good he thinks he is almost as good as he is. So he's not one of those humble people like, say, Tyler, who feels that his play is not up to snuff anymore, is considering leaving. OGSMC is instead feeling that his play is so up to snuff that he might consider leaving just because there's no one who can touch him. He's going to be facing off against probably his current foil, Mouse Thorzain. OGSMC appears to have some trouble sometimes with foreign Terran players. Korean Terran players always seem to do pretty well against him, or pardon, he seems to do very well against Korean Terran players. But the only time I ever remember him losing to Terran consistently is versus Thorzain and versus Jinro, who, by the way, happen to be two of my favorite players. Coincidence? I think not. And so, after their epic series, their epic 5-game series, which you should immediately go see, watch it on the TSL VOD forum. It is my favorite series of StarCraft I've ever seen. It's some of the best play by any player ever in this young sport. It is the best I've seen. Go watch it. So after their epic series, this is their first rematch. And really, I remember the series as being very good. So we're gonna watch and see what happens. Thorzain opening pretty much the most standard way possible. Same with MC. Slightly early 2-gas, which could scream some. The problem with MC is he can both cheese with the best of them, rush with the best of them, and I consider those two things different. Cheesing is like cannon rushing with proxy 2-gating. Rushing is like 3-gate Void Ray or 4-gate. MC is probably the best rusher in the world, and then he's probably one of the 5 best macroers in the world, plus his micro is incredible. So there's not really a weakness you can find with MC. And more importantly, you can't tell anything about this gas. He could be double centurying you, he could be fast sentry expanding, or he could be going for an absolutely brutal Stargate play. So we see Thorzain doing his sort of patented build. This one Marauder. Oh, he hasn't even gotten his Marauder. This very early stim fast expansion, and we should see him at around the 29 supply mark get an engineering bay. One cool thing about Thorzain, and probably part of the reason I like him so much, is that he's a very upgrade heavy player. That's sort of his thing. Oh, and he's getting an early Reaper. This is fascinating. Well, Reapers are good generally in a 4-gate against a Terran. You want to go Sentries and Zealots with maybe only 1 or 2 Stalkers just to sort of kill Marines, essentially. And Reapers are good against both those things. So this could be actually very interesting and a new little fancy schmanciness. Or it could be MC just fast expanding. Either way, even if the rush doesn't come, a Reaper is a great way to scout. And we're actually seeing Thorzain get his expansion up slightly before MZ. He's also then putting down 2 more barracks, and he's yet to get his 2nd gas. He's right now just going very mineral heavy. Now what this could either do is it can either allow him to get a bunch of Marines, or it can facilitate a bunch of early barracks, and then you could shift to, say, starting to get more Marauders, and then you're not going to have to worry about getting other things. And we see this Reaper. This is very clever, just taking a nice little scouting pattern. We've seen MC only produce Sentries so far. Sentries and a Robo. So this is very interesting, and this is just terrific game sense, isn't it? MC just gets 2 stalkers at the mineral line because he just feels it. Oh my god, MC, you are too good. This is not fair. And this Reaper is in a very nice position where you can just see if an expansion is going down. Let's actually look at Thorzain's vision. Thorzain saw the expansion, so he knows not to worry about a rush. At the same time, though, he hasn't seen the main. If we look at... all he has seen is this. MC coming in with his worker, and this one's actually a probe, so I'm not mistaken when I say that this time. And keeping this Reaper alive is very clever. You could either use it to keep the watchtowers, or you could use it to scout in the main. Thorzain now has... oh, I'm sorry to be skipping around. I'm going to try to do that a little less. Thorzain now has his engineering bay, getting +1 attack. Ooh, a little bit of skippiness there, I'm sorry. He's also getting a factory and a starport. Thorzain is not at all shy about going double starport to counter Colossi. Now, oftentimes what happens is, I feel that without ghosts, you simply can't hold. Ghosts are very good at defensively versus Protoss. 2 bunkers and a ghost can hold a lot of stuff. I've known this from experience. After having a lot of trouble versus Protoss, I just decided to get out ghosts on 2 base really early, and I've been having more success. So I do not know how I feel about this against, say, a 3-gate robo push, which it looks like we are experiencing now. MC also getting his expansion up at a perfectly reasonable hour, and with the units tab. Very close on workers, and actually Thorzain is slightly ahead on workers. And the production structures, we have 3 gates and a robo for our Protoss hero, and we have 3, I guess 3 barracks, no reactors, 2 tech labs, and a starport and a factory for our Terran hero. Now, Blue Flame Hellions are very, very, very good against Protoss, especially one who's not opening this heavy robo style, and we're going to see OGSMC put down another forge. Meanwhile, our friend Thorzain is getting his Ghost Academy. Neither player has started their 3rd expansion yet. We can expect that within the next minute. And we also see Thorzain moving out with a fairly scary force here. We have this Reaper patrolling to see when the 3rd goes down. However, that's probably my 2nd choice for a 3rd. The first choice is this, although I suppose that alley is very open. And you can cover this a little bit more easily than you can cover all this. So I guess taking this as a 3rd is not a bad choice. If we look at the units lost tab, just a very slight advantage for Thorzain. He's managed to keep most of his stuff alive, while MC has taken a little bit of damage. And what he could be doing is he could be setting up for a slight drop here. This is a very interesting time, and we see MC again going this more gateway heavy style. Now, gateway units will not beat their barracks equivalents one-on-one, but they are pretty good when you put them in a big old group, and their main advantage is that you can build them insanely fast. Macro speed of a Protoss is essentially instant, and I very much like this. This is so clever. A 1 Hellion drop that just, it's a really clever scouting idea, and it forces force fields, and we see a Dark Shrine going down. This is very, very, very vintage MC. We also see the armory going down for Thorzain. This is the exact timing he likes it. Around halfway done with your +1 armor, you get your armory, and then you get your engineering base soon after. So we see a Dark Shrine going down for MC, neither player taking their 3rd base, and speak of the devil, and he shall appear. Here is Thorzain's 3rd base. Meanwhile, back in MC, and again, I'm sorry for all the quakiness, MC is chrono boosting out his +1 attack upgrade, and that is one thing that is dangerous against Thorzain, is being behind on upgrades. And this timing's really, really good, you'll notice. This armory's about to finish. And another clever thing of MC is getting lots of observers. When you're going this Templar style, which it appears that MC will be going, I can expect a Templar Archives any minute now. Charge Lot Templar is what's going to happen, which, by the way, is brutal to deal with as Terran. I actually think it's slightly stronger than a Colossus play. It's more work intensive, but if you're equally skilled at both, going this is stronger, especially because it opens up more tech paths. But at the same time, you do need a robo to get a lot of detection, because the weakness of this is ghosts. And I always assume that because observers are so cheap and so essentially so good, like they're great, they're probably the best detection in the game, just because they're cloaked. Because observers are so cheap, I always assumed that every Protoss kept an observer with their army, and as it turns out, that's not true. And that was relatively shocking, because you would expect that to be so, and if it were so, it would be very strong. Oh, very nice EMP right there. In the meantime, OGSMC taking his third, Thorzain also taking his third, and morphing it into a planetary fortress. We see a good transfer of workers, and a good amount of defensive forces back home. You do want to, especially when Dark Templar are in play, you do want to keep your forces somewhat split up, but it also looks like Thorzain now is going, oh, beautiful blink micro there by MC. Thorzain is going for this major push, and a beautiful EMP, another beautiful EMP. Oh my god, he has completely taken all that energy off those sentries. In the meanwhile, this Dark Templar back here, doing damage after damage, doing hella damage. The charge logs, however, are very, very strong, but the upgrade advantage goes to MC. These Protoss gateway units have +2 attack, but +1 armor, +1 attack. It's a stronger combination to have. We do have a Dark Templar chasing after a poor, lonely ghost. Oh, please, please, Dark Templar, don't hit me. Meanwhile, the Nexus for OGSMC is going down, and OGSMC is doing all he can to warp in just his last Bastion forces, and it appears that Thorzain does not notice. There he does. He notices that big glob of Dark Templar killing him. Now, OGSMC does not yet have Storm, and will these have enough energy to Storm when it is researched? I do not know. Yes, they can Psystorm, so one great Psystorm could win the game here for OGSMC, or at least protect his expansions. Meanwhile, Thorzain is throwing down his 4th base, and he has a poor rally point. I empathize with you, I really do. I do this a lot. Thorzain also doing the smart thing. Bunkers aren't free anymore, but still as a 25 resource investment, they're great. They're still just a strong move to make, and if at any time you're fast expanding versus Protoss, using bunkers is not just smart, it's an absolute necessity. 5 more ghosts on the way. I don't actually mind this. I think at this point ghosts are super important. He's getting Cloak, get Mobius Reactor first, you always want to. This engineering bay